Lady and gentlemen, please welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack. We're holding on to it for you as long as you need it. But ultimately, it's yours. Here's the part where we do the intros, and we do it just for a special somebody to touch it up in post. I'm Jamie Williams, aka the Vet. And then, as always, I'm joined by my co-host with the most, and this is Brandon. And here comes that, the music and the stuff and the slow mo and the Chris Saban and my Goldberg '98 to my, I don't know what, Kevin Nash. No, I'm not going over here. Whatever. It's Brandon.
Only thing missing is Scott Hall and the taser.
That's right. Well, we're not going to tase anybody here tonight, but Impact Attack, Impact try to tase our brains, I guess, with another lovely episode following up the business that they laid out for Bound for Glory. And now we're going to see the fallout and what's going to happen going forward. And one thing I noticed about this episode, not that we're getting right into it, but just a little chit chat off the top. Did you notice while you were watching the episode how they kept having like banner ads for pay-per-views that they're gonna have for like the next 3-4 months?
Yeah,
All these things. I'm like, how many shows are you guys gonna do that? Some, Overdrive and Hard to Kill and what's that one? There's like in another week or so. There's something
like
I
some
think.
Kentucky something.
Kentucky something. I think that's what it's called. It's called Kentucky something. And then,
They even announced the return of their retro show.
oh man, so they just got everything. Like they just got stuff lined up, and I'm like, man, you guys. I mean, I guess you must be cooking for live events if you're booking all these places and doing all these things.
Probably it probably is. It's the end of the year. People are running out of money, so they're getting the promotion out there. So that way, it's like, hey, this is on your mind. So when you're spending money, think of us.
I know.
That's my guess. That's what I'm trying to rationalize it.
I know. Every time I have disposable income, I think, well, how can I give it to Anthem Entertainment? Like they probably need it, and they probably do. But whatever about that. We'll get into that in a second. As Javi's pointing out, there's a rain delay on the Yankees and Guardians game. Oh, hello to Optimistic 001 on Twitch. Yeah, it's raining. It's the deciding game of the series. I'm here representing the Yankees. Liz is in the chat representing the Cleveland Guardians. And so even though we're friends, we're not friends for the. Well, I don't know. We're friends. I don't take it. I'm not gonna. I don't get on social media and make memes and stuff about that like Big Ray, and then have to eat the memes later when his team loses. He's already cursed the Knicks multiple times, and maybe some of the rubbing it in he's done for the Mets is going to cost us later tonight as we record this. But we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of which, we might as well acknowledge the chat. Brandon, would you like to acknowledge the chat?
Yeah, let us acknowledge the chat. We always, as always, got the awesome and great Elizabeth. We got Canada Spaceman. We got Buckshot Kid. We got the artist formerly known as Lawrence Weaver. Welcome Optimistic 001, Javi Uchida, of course, Jerome Hall, Lab Rat. Everybody's here. The whole gang. You know how it is.
And Canada Spaceman, of course, we don't always get Canada Spaceman on Impact Attack, especially since we changed the time slot. But I mean, look, he's from Canada. Impact is from Canada. It's a natural fit, so I expect to see him here bright and early every time. There's no excuse for that. Yeah. But so that's what's up. A lot of sports going on. I don't really have much to comment on the sports right now. But what else is going on in the world? Any news in the world of wrestling?
Yeah. I think everybody's talking about right now at the moment, at least the major talking point, is the Bray Wyatt return promo where he breaks character and kind of shoots, and then it ends with like a new persona stalking him.
What do you think about that?
I mean, after everything they've done with the character and how they've messed it up every time they've had it, like where else do you go from there? Other than just hit the reset button and start as himself and do something new with it and base something off of a foundation in reality. Of course, now we're going back into the supernatural.
Yeah. Well, this is going to
Unless it's like some sort of like super fully split personality gimmick where he has no idea what the other part of him's doing.
this is going to shock the Hameen Media Group fans to their very core. But I actually agree with the artist formerly known as Lawrence Weaver, who the rumor is he's still Lawrence Weaver, but we're not going to talk about that too much. Yeah, he says hated it. Maybe he says it in the Men on Film way, hated it. I do not give this 2 snaps up and a twist and a kiss. It's bad enough that like I've never liked Bray Wyatt in any incarnation, but after everything that they've done, the absolute worst thing I think I've seen them do with this is after all that bullshit that they expected you to buy, whether you can say, hey, this wasn't Bray Wyatt's fault. There was too many people meddling with his ideas and his creative. And so whoever you want to blame, whatever happened. He was a swamp hillbilly. He was a fiend. He got set on fire. A bunch of stupid things. What else? Whatever. But then after all that, then you come back. You do a full entrance with your, at the pay-per-view, which is tacked on, by the way. Like the whole pay-per-view has really nothing to do with you other than a few little White Rabbit video game like sketches and other references and things. Just sprinkled throughout the show and not even really that consistently. And then at the end, he comes back, he makes a full entrance with a lantern. He's got the guys come out and stand in the audience and have a spotlight showing on them, and they're dressed like the puppets he used to have from the Funhouse, right? So that right there, this is the creative they come up with. It's people standing around in spotlights, doing nothing, him walking through a door, holding a lantern, and then saying that he's here. Okay, that was what we got after all this time. Okay, for some people that was fine, that was enough. Even for me, I'm going to say for the people that like that sort of thing, that's the sort of thing those people like Jim Cornette says. And then the next time you see him, it's a SmackDown. We've waited the whole show. We're being told he's going to be here. They replay the entire fucking thing from the pay-per-view on SmackDown as a recap. Okay, and then at the end of the show, he comes out. He's got the crazy door. He goes through it. He's got the lantern. He's got the music. He's got all the people, the Fireflies doing the phone thing. Gets in the ring, and then after all that, he says, "Hey, this is just me, guys. He really did cut the 'This is the real me' promo, the one that Ben and Stevie joke about all the time. This is the real me." So everything else was the fake you. Okay, I got it. Right off the bat, there's your message. Like, everything else is phony. Oh, but this is real now. So, trust. And then he starts crying about all the stuff that he's been through being real with us and telling us how he's fans have reached out to him. But he's also by doing this, he's admitting, not that there's anything wrong with that in a real world setting, that he's weak. That he's mentally weak, and he was forced to go into a mental downward spiral. I think his words. So he lays out the proverbial dump your purse on the couch. That's a reference to the Breakfast Club, and invite us into all his problems or whatever. When he's supposed to be a mythical, supernatural figure, that has mental health issues, and we should all pity him now, right? And then of course it turns into a gimmick where his his whatever persona that has this mask, this new mask that he's come out with, because you got to sell masks. Then the gimmick comes out and makes it seem like now he's having yet another identity crisis in front of us. But essentially, what the part that I don't like is just the fact that why would you introduce anything resembling real into something that has gone out of its way to tell everybody this is fake, this is phony, this is just entertainment, this belongs in a American Horror Story episode or what have you, like, but after all this, then we're gonna get this is the real me, the real me promo. Like you couldn't have done anything worse than this. I don't know if you could have come up with something worse than what they did. But here we are. This is it.
Do you think they may have been trying to piggyback off of the finale to She-Hulk?
I hope not. I really hope not. Because they could have done it way better than that if that's what it was. I doubt that maybe some of the people that are writing this, I mean, what was the guy's name? Rob something. They brought in a guy named Rob something, not to be confused with Jake something. That he the guy used to work at Marvel and some other stuff to produce this
long-term story, like
right, head of long-term creative.
Yeah, something like that. Which we all know somebody who'd be way better at that.
Right. Well, don't worry, guys. I said it to his face. You saw it on the Next Level Wrestling review. I mean, long-term creative. Okay, so he comes in. He's got all these ideas. He's supposed to handle the Bray Wyatt return and not fuck it up, I guess was the idea. And I don't know. So it's possible that as a Marvel fan that he or a former person that worked there, he could be looking at things like She-Hulk on Disney Plus as inspiration for things to do, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of people were too pleased with She-Hulk. So I don't know if that's the thing that was that you want to look at when you're doing this kind of thing. I just whatever it is, you knew I wasn't going to like it regardless. But even for me, I'm still saying this is bad. This is really bad. Okay, this is bad. I'm not with it. I'm not on board with it. I'm looking at what the chat says. I don't know if anybody else is on board with it. Yeah.
And something just came to mind too. Another thing direction they could have went with it with kind of Michael Myers route. Where's Michael Myers all that time before he went back to Haddonfield?
Where was he when? Like
the insane asylum.
Right. Okay. So we're saying that we're clearly saying that there's something up with him because he's scared of his own self showing up on the Titantron with a mask and a voice telling him things, like, I don't know. And we've already done this even with the Funhouse. There's Bray Wyatt and there's the Fiend. So, have we traded Happy Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt for this is the real me Bray Wyatt? And then there's another version of me with a mask. I mean, that's what it looks like. That's the road that it looks like is going down anyway. But I don't know. Halloween's not hot right now either because pretty much everybody said that last movie is the shits. Hello, Alexa from Germany. If they're so I guess what I'm trying to say is if they're looking at She-Hulk and the new Halloween as inspirations, then I don't know. But then that's WWE. That's typical for them. You know, if they are looking at anything to draw on from pop culture, it's either late or inappropriate. So there you go.
I was gonna say at least we're keeping it recent.
Yeah, they're up to date on their shitty entertainment that they're gonna try to rip off and make shittier. Now, make no mistake, not even at the height of whatever the WWEF was doing when they were trying to reach into pop culture and take things from it, not once have they ever bettered it. It's always been just a whack version of whatever was going on. Like, if you want to look at the late 90s and South Park being a thing and then DX, it's like, you know, that's what's better? What's still around and like going with new episodes every week, and then what is just dragging out 50-year-old men to do old catchphrases every, you know, couple years or whatever it is. Like, there's no comparison. Everything, the copy of a copy is always a downgrade. So, I don't know. Some people might say the only thing that they know how to do is have wrestling matches. So maybe they should like recenter their business on that, but in a better way that makes sense and not the way that they've always done it, and continue to keep doing it. But I don't know. We'll see. But speaking of wrestling matches and doing things the way they've always done it, I guess
Impact.
that's a good transition into Impact. Let's get everybody out of here and tucked into bed in a reasonable time. We're going to start off our episode with a Bound for Glory recap. Well, not us. We aren't going to start it off. I'm telling you, they started it off. So if you miss Bound for Glory, you get to see that. We're going to get Josh Alexander, the champion, is coming out for an in-ring, okay? And he calls out Bully, because he's got to call out Bully, because he hasn't talked to Bully, because Bully wasn't talking to him right in his face at the end of Bound for Glory, you know, off mic, but even so the TV camera could pick it up. They didn't have anything to say in the ring then, and they didn't talk to each other in the days, after that leading up to this either. They've never said anything. Josh Alexander bided his time and just waited until he had a microphone in a pro wrestling ring, and then he was going to call out Bully Ray and talk about it. So that's what we're doing here.
Or even in the back afterwards, like, you can't go up, you can pass Gorilla, like, hey man, let me talk to you in the room over here and have a good, 10, 15-minute chat. No, I couldn't do that. No way. But I guess that's good for us, except that, but Bully's a nice guy now. Like, he's nice now. That's what I get. I'm just shortening this. He comes out and he says, hey, I'm a nice guy. He didn't really say that, but I'm, again, paraphrasing in order to sum up. And then, Josh Alexander doesn't even get to be convinced by this, because here comes Burt Macklin, who's not buying it. Hey, I don't buy it, says Burt Macklin. And then Moose interrupts that. And he's like, hey, I modeled myself after Bully Ray. Every bad thing I've done was because of Bully Ray, and I'm not buying it. And then, but when the thing about when Moose comes out, though, is because it's Moose, then I have to back my 2x down to a 1x and watch it in normal speed, so like I don't have to listen to Chipmunk Moose. I can follow along and just fully enjoy the mooseness of the whole thing. And then here comes Bobby Fish, right? So now we got Bobby Fish, and then I go, okay, 2x again. We get 2x. So Bobby Fish cuts the whole line just to say, hey, I'm in my hometown. I want a title shot tonight. And Josh Allen is just like, yeah, screw all these guys. I accept. And then we've got our main event. So thanks, Bobby Fish, for giving Impact their main event. They didn't have one. If it wasn't this, it was going to be a recap of Masha and Jordan from Bound for Glory package. That was going to be our main event. But thankfully, you came out, and there you go. So
that was our opening. It's a segment that, and I've been working, guys. I've been retouching my bingo card, and I think it's almost ready. I think I just need one more thing to add to it, but I've subtracted some things. But on my updated bingo card, one of the things I added after one of the things I removed is what I like to call the hem effect, which is HEM, which is hit everyone's music. And that's what I call one of these things. These also attitude era type things where people stand in the ring, or maybe it was more of a ruthless aggression thing, really. But in any case, it's always something that the WWE would do, where someone's in the ring and then they hit someone's music and then they come out and then they say something, and then they hit somebody else's music and then they hit somebody else's music, and it's just you picture if this was a comedy skit, if this was the Christopher Guest movie like that we always talk about, you'd cut to the guy back there that's with the headset on, and then you see somebody walking by like push the button for the music, and then there comes somebody.
All right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's what it would be. So a hit everyone's music segment to start off Impact. How does this work for you?
Well, for a second there, I mean, I knew Alex Jones was hard up. I didn't know he was hard up enough to go wrestle for Impact for a little bit. Then I realized that was Bully Ray.
Right.
And then Macklin's line of "I'll come at you straight forward," as if we completely missed the angle we did with Sami Zayn having him on video saying he's going to screw Moose.
Right.
And
is it now? Just real quick now, is that genius because he's being a heel and just completely being oblivious and lying about it, or is that an oversight on their part? I mean, either one could be true.
That's a good question.
Okay.
That would get that if we had the Roadcaster get that do 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 do.
Yeah. Yeah, conspiracy theory. Burt Macklin actually knows what he's doing in a promo. That's the conspiracy theory.
And why didn't Moose lay out like Fish? Like there's no, like he would not let somebody take a mic out of his hands and not beat the shit out of him, especially a guy like Bobby Fish's size compared to him.
I guess well, for one, that's just not how it was laid out in the back. But number two, he probably just doesn't want to dirty his hands on a fish. You don't want to touch a raw fish if you don't have to. So, I mean, I could understand that. But yeah, but when you do that, he just took the microphone out of Moose's hand.
Literally, he's walks. It's more like this. Here, I gotta take that from you. Like
the
that.
Office Space. Yeah, there's that swing line. Okay, let me just get that from you. All right, thanks a bunch, Moose. And we're gonna need you to go ahead and come in on Sunday too. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So that's our opening, and everybody looks stupid, basically. I mean, everybody stands around with their dick in their hand while Bobby Fish walks out and says, what about a match with me? And Josh is like, yeah, sure. It's classic because this happens in wrestling all the time.
You could have had Moose, Macklin, and Fish all in the back and just kept it between Bully and Alexander.
Right.
That's where your focus is at.
Yep. But they didn't. They didn't do that. And if they were in the back, there would have been some horrible RGB lighting because, boy, they're back with a vengeance. This is definitely war. Lawrence Weavers just need Moose to be the second coming of Monty Brown. Those were the days. Man, there will never be a second coming of Monty Brown. There's only one Monty Brown. There's only ever going to be one Monty Brown.
Man, that such a dropped ball. Like raw charisma. Like he had like a Rock-esque charisma and wasn't even trying. It was just natural.
Yeah, he did. I used to like when he would when he would do because he was kind of like The Rock in that he would also like do impersonations of people, and I remember one time he came out and did like a whole Sting with the Sting face paint on. So Like, he definitely was. Man, I always wanted to do something with him. And I wanted to give him a hug at WrestleMania, but I just didn't. I wanted to hug Monty Brown and Todd Grisham, but I didn't get a chance to. Well, I had a chance to hug Todd Grisham, but I just didn't do it because you don't do that. But, you know. But anyway, let's go back to the show and let's stop reminiscing about greater times. We get a little clip from BTI that shows Motor City Machine Guns beating the Indians, which, you know, I mean, that's how you say it. And we're talking about Raj and Shira. And so then we go to the Motor City Machine Guns with Gia and no music underneath. And they're going to ask for a title rematch. Pretty straightforward. And then they cut from that to a cinematic of the Motor City Machine Guns, like a cinematic pre-tape of them walking down a normal looking hallway going to Scott D'Amore's office. And then, you know, if you notice, the door is cracked because Heath and Rhino come out of the office and the door is cracked. And inside you see that the entire room is just awash in purple light. So I don't know what kind of Undertaker, you know, tribute show that Scott D'Amore's going on in his office, but it's going on. But that's just like a little sneak peek because I'm looking at the outside of the cinematic and I'm like, okay, this looks natural. They're just walking down the hall. There's no little lights set up on the floor or anything like that. So I was thinking it was going to be cool. Then we get to that office and then I'm like, okay, you're trying to be a little more subtle with it, but you're still trying to stick it to us. Like you want us to know that you haven't completely given up and you're going to throw that in our face. But we'll see that that's not necessarily the case later. Impact is just a petting zoo in the back, Lab Rat says. Are you there, Lab Rat? Can they pet you? Can they pet you in your little cage? All right, so basically Heath and Rhino, but they come out and they said, oh, they asked for a title shot next week. So they're going to get a title shot next week.
One thing I've been wondering, is Lab Rat the same rat that was hanging out with Dustin Rhodes 15 years ago?
We'll have to ask Lab Rat. Lab Rat, was that you? Lab Rat, this you? Yeah. So, you know, yeah, Heath and Rhino next week, title shot. That's it. They just ask and then they receive, I guess. Can a spaceman have an important question? Do we throw away underwear when the elastic band is loose or not until there are holes? I have never had a loose elastic band on my underwear. I don't keep them that long. I think holes should just naturally occur long before the elastic band wears out. So probably the second one, I would say. I don't know. What do you think?
I go for holes.
Holes? Yeah, it's probably good. I know. Have you had a loose elastic band? I mean, does that happen?
It happens, but it's not like... It's irritating, but it's not like a deal breaker.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've had to concern myself with those things. Let's see. So let me concern myself with Tasha Steelz. She's coming out, and then they go to break. And then they come back in the process of Killer Kelly entering with her music and everything. She's like halfway down the ramp by the time we get back. And then this is a no DQ match. And so, of course, before the match, Savannah Evans assaults her and, you know, boom, we get into it. Although, at some point, Savannah Evans stops assaulting her, even though there's no DQs and there's no reason to stop. And Killer Kelly's been a sexy pain in the ass for both of these women. So I don't know why you would ever just not kick the shit out of her and, you know, whatever. But they do. They do break up. And then, you know, by the end, Evans comes back in at some point. I guess she thought she was going to let Tasha handle it, but then decided no. There's a chair somewhere in there. A chain comes in at some point. And then, you know, Kelly gets the, like a choke type thing, a choke chain. You know, she wins with a choke on a submission or something on Tasha. So there you go. I didn't really, I don't know. I didn't really follow this match carefully. I think I was distracted by something. I'm sure a lot of other people were distracted by the wedgie that Killer Kelly got. Sure, the people in attendance got to see quite a bit. Talk about this is the real me. That wedgie. There's nothing to hide anymore. But yeah, she wins a no DQ match in which her partner was nice enough to, Tasha's partner was nice enough to, only get involved at the beginning and the end. So, I don't know. We could have done something else. If I'm going to book a no DQ match, I'm just going to have people kick the shit out of the person. Like all their friends kick the shit out of the person the whole time and then just beat them straight up. Then everybody will see in the wrestling business how stupid it looks to have a no DQ match where you have like groups, factions, teams, or whatever against somebody that has no friends, and then what it's like for them to not only not win that match but to lose that match. And then maybe people would see that and be like, well, that's stupid, why'd you do that? I'd be like, because that's what would happen. And then maybe you guys will see how stupid what you're doing looks. But that's me. I'm not a booker. Would never claim to be one, and never wanted to be one. So, what do you think? How would you book this no DQ match?
Definitely one of those like things that you only see in wrestling that needs to change and adapt to more realistic psychology and real world standards. Like you said, you wouldn't. This is a no DQ match. She's not going to stand on the outside and just let it happen. It's going to be a 2-on-1 the entire match.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it?
Why wouldn't it? What's stopping you? Are you tired? Maybe if you're tired, maybe you kick her ass so bad that, and again, there was a lot to kick because the backside of her, the backside of her gear was all the way up in, so you had plenty of her ass to kick, and I could see maybe you got tired and just had to take a rest break or something, get a water, whatever it might be. So, just not really a fan of it, but, there was a point where Tasha Steelz was the focus of this division. It seems like those days are gone because now you can't even win a handicap match. So I don't know about Tasha, but she was as recently on Wrestling with Rip Rogers on YouTube. So if you guys check out Lila Studios, Rip Rogers, check that out. That's a plug right here on the Impact Attack. And unlike Channel Attitude, you won't even need the price of a cup of coffee. Just go to YouTube, Lila Studios, check out an interview with Tasha Steelz and Rip. And they've been having lots of great guests on there recently. So check that out. And let's move on to... okay, so now we're backstage. And Dirty Dango runs into the dungeon dwellers who are talking to mascots. I have no notes. That's perfect. That's just perfect how it is. But anyway, it goes on. So Dango's looking at like the way Zicky's dressed and calls him Skittles. And he says if he was still on the force, he'd give him a citation. And then he also says he'd slap the cuffs on Swinger. And then a couple of the designed guys show up, and then security's struggling with them. And luckily somebody helps them out. It's Sami Callihan, and he's got a bat, and he hits the guys in the yellow sweatshirts, and he says, tell the designer, that's Eric Young, I'm coming for him. So.
Which, in a weird way, that feud angle would kind of make sense, because I could see Sami seeing EY as like a competition and a threat. It's like, we'll get him before he gets me.
Yep. I guess he already got him in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. So we're trying to unfold angles out of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet Battle Royal from Bound for Glory, which is everybody's favorite part of the show. Okay.
Well, Well, the best part of though that thing was the slapping the cuffs on. We might come on to the down to the dungeon.
Yeah, right. Perfect. And he's like, it sounds like there'd be some weird stuff in there. Um,
I'd love to
he's
see Dango added to that act.
yeah, he's this guy's definitely he would definitely fit in with the entire thing that they're trying to do with Swinger and Zicky. That's right up a Fashion Files alley.
And you could
Uh,
add the in-ring credibility to it too.
that's right. I mean, they kind of need it. Um, all right. So anyway, moving on. Um, Scott D'Amore talks to Josh Alexander about Bully in a locker room with a cute pink light. There's this little pink light on the floor, just one spotlight on the wall. Is maybe it was supposed to be red, but it shows up on camera pink. And in the picture I'm going to post on Twitter, it's going to be even more washed out. So you'll have to look carefully, but I think you'll see what I'm talking about. And maybe I can kind of like live tweet that as we're doing this, as you talk about our next match, which is a 6-way match, almost joined in progress. We get the tail end of no pun. No, okay, I'll say I intended the pun. Tail end of Taurus's entrance, and then it's Taurus. It's Kenny King, it's Yuya Uemura, it's Alex Zane, it's Laredo Kid, and it's Trey Miguel in a 6-way match. So, all right, your standard 6-way match. Normally we'd open an Impact with this, but I guess they decided to go the the Triple H early 2000s role and start with the champion and an in-ring promo where a bunch of people's music hits and they come out.
And it's also like after, Bound for Glory, it's also not bad for them to open the show with a talking segment. Kind of set up or get the foundation set for where they're going for the next arc or wherever they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, did anybody in this wasn't even very long, even by the standards of a multi-match on Impact Wrestling. So
Yes, what was
like
like barely 10 minutes.
yeah. So did anybody stick out to you during this time, or were you like me just seeing a bunch of moves being done regardless of who was in the trunks and boots at the time?
The only thing I picked up out of here is that Kenny King was obviously the ring general of this match.
The Ring King?
And I've want to start a new game with these kind of multi-mans called Count the Tropes, such as a convoluted giant bump spot with everybody out of the corner, waterfall shotgun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I count 2 so far.
Of course, this one wasn't really long enough to get as the ones we're usually used to seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe it's exciting for the people there. Maybe they edited some of this down. I don't remember if they went to a break in it or if they just showed the whole thing. Either way, they still could have edited it down. But yeah, it was just your standard guys doing stuff match, and Trey Miguel does the most stuff and wins the match, I guess. And there you go. And then so Frankie Kazarian arrives late, and he's in the parking garage with his rolling case and a nice suit. His suit costs more than the Impact budget. And then Mike Bailey comes down there to meet him, and they, I don't know what they were saying. Something like, I'm sure it was something to the effect of like, I respect you, and but I want another shot or some shit like that. It's probably what they were saying. And then Miguel shows up and he's like, hey, I want a shot too, because I just want a match. So, I mean, whatever he said. And then all I was thinking during this was, it's a good thing that Trey Miguel knew exactly where Frankie Kazarian was as he was arriving in the underground parking garage, even though he was just in a ring having a match and he just got out of it. And before he went to the back to like, take off any of his gear or, have a drink of water or anything, he just somehow was magnetically drawn to Kaz in the parking lot so that he could tell him, "Hey, I'm coming for you."
And managed to find a towel and dry all that sweat off on the way over there too.
Ooh, little shades of Bobby Lashley, huh? Oh man. Yeah, I don't know if it was like maybe it was like one of my Twitch streams or something, but I was saying the other day, like, how funny is it? How sad is it in 2022 that we're in a state of wrestling where you turn on, the Jim Cornette podcast, or you turn on the, you know, Vince Russo Raw and SmackDown review or whatever, and you got Vince Russo and Jim Cornette saying the exact same things about the shows. Like it's gotten so bad that Jim and Vince agree now. Okay? Like that's how bad wrestling is now. You guys realize that? Are you aware of this? Do you realize that you've both got Jim Cornette and Vince Russo saying, fucking, you couldn't even spritz Bobby Lashley down for his pre-tape? Like, among other things they're agreeing on. They don't even know. They don't even know that each other is agreeing. But they are.
And the thing is, and they get attacked and insulted for trying to hold the product up to a higher standard. Like, don't you want a better product? Don't you want a better show?
They don't know what one is. Because that's another problem. Okay, side tangent. Here's a problem with society. They get so used to mediocrity that that becomes the standard. Like, the bar gets lowered, but then the bar stays there. You know, it's like you're supposed to raise the bar again at some point. Somebody's supposed to tell you, hey, this is unacceptable. But people are accepting mediocrity. Things like She-Hulk, things like Halloween or whatever. I don't know if people are accepting it, but like, because I've never heard anybody say anything good about Halloween Ends yet. But I mean, they let these things happen. They let people pour millions of dollars into projects, and then you got people like trying to defend it. Like, are you trying to justify that you got hoodwinked into spending money, or at the very least time? Because even if you steal something from the internet, you still have to spend the time on it. You know, like, I'm not paying for Bound for Glory, but I'm still angry that I watched it, and I still want a refund. You know what I mean?
You're still investing your time and life into it.
Right. That's 3 hours, man. I can do a lot in 3 hours. Now, granted, it's probably not going to be any more ultimately productive than that Bound for Glory, but I'm still mad that I had to watch it. I had to sit there and watch it. And the only thing that got me through it was knowing that I'd be able to come on and talk about it with you guys. But the whole point is, if you're some fan and you get shit on somebody shits on your face and in your brain, and you're just like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Well, how blessed are you that these are the things that you're seeing that you think aren't that bad? How much worse is the rest of what you're watching? I don't know. I'm not giving anybody a pass. I'm just coming on here and saying what I think. But I'm not going to give you a pass. If your shit is terrible, you know? Yeah. It's a total Kara move on my part. Well, I'm not really asking for it, but I was trying to use that to illustrate a point, right? I'm the last person to be a Karen. I'm the kind of guy that's like, if I waste money on something, I just call it a stupid tax. Oh, my fault. I was dumb. I deserve to lose the money. You know, that's how I do it. I'm not going to be a Karen and, cause an uproar. But I mean, I'll come on here and I'll let you know about it. Yeah, we can't let people get away with shit. So I don't know. But it's real easy to go on to Twitter when you don't have to do any real work. All you got to do, okay, is pick up your little phone, and then you log in, and then you see somebody's comment, and then you click a couple of things. You don't really click them unless you have the click sound turned on your phone. But you could tap the screen. You could do the swipe method, where you just trace the word and trace what you think the word is on your keyboard, and they'll probably spell it right for you because you probably couldn't spell it right. There's many different easy ways for you to sit back, take a couple seconds, and run your mouth. Whereas if you even had to form those words with your real mouth, you probably couldn't be concise enough. Because you'd have to do it on the spot. You wouldn't have time to hit the back button and change your wording or think about it. and say something else, or read what somebody else says and then parrot that so that you sound like you're being original. Like, it's way too easy to just make a comment than it is to actually, you know, I just woke up, rolled out of bed, and I'm doing this show. So I got to do all this shit I got to do all my shit talking off the dome. Get on my level. Anyway, sorry. I don't know why I did that just now. That's right. Ved is not a Karen. Hashtag turn off the lights. They're making me into a Karen about that. I'm not going to let it go. That is the white woman in me. I will not let that go. I will hold on to that and I will throw it back in your face. That is my most womanly trait right there. I can hold on to something for years and wait for the right time to throw it back at you.
Halloween costume idea. Have the Karen haircut, pink, purple, blue lights behind me as the Varen.
The Varen. Well, Halloween is only 14 short days away. 2 weeks. Let's see.
That actually mean.
Are we doing a Halloween episode?
Oh shit, we are live on Halloween. Yep.
Might have to do a little more planning. Or I could just do what most women do, and I'll just take my shirt off and put a pair of animal ears on. Where were we at? Oh yes, speaking of Halloween, don't
give me ideas.
we're doing Vexed and Giselle versus the Death Dolls. Death Dolls with the Z. So Attitude Era Death Dolls. I didn't watch this. I'm gonna lie. It's a six person. I didn't really watch it. I saw it. When I say I didn't watch it, guys, I don't want you to think that I was like skip. But I had it on and my eyes stare at it. And the information doesn't filter through. I'm like kind of go into a trance, I guess. Or a funk or a haze or a daze, and like the stuff just happens and I like watch it and I'm just like I've seen hundreds thousands of matches. I can't like what am I supposed to say? You guys are just doing stuff. But Giselle hit a running knee to the back of Rosemary's head. Hopefully that was safe. And they pin Rosemary here. So I guess we could say that this is so now that Rosemary has been the person that's been trying to get the Death Dolls and her all on the same page. And then if she takes a L in a match like this, then now the story is turning into like, you know, it's not there yet. If they don't jump the gun, but it could be turning into the direction of, okay, maybe you're the problem, Rosemary. So either they're going to kick Rosemary out of the group or Rosemary's going to leave the group on her own or something. Like maybe that's it. Or maybe it was just Rosemary taking the pin and there's not too much to read into this. I'm not sure. What did you see?
I could definitely see him going that route. There's definitely... You got the dynamic and the trope there of, you know, the mean girls, the popular girls against the outcasts. It's there. And they're creative enough. There's enough. Their performers are good enough. You can run with this and get a lot of material out of this and go wild with it.
Okay, will they?
That's the question. Will they?
I mean, what have they already gotten out of it? Maybe a month or 6 weeks? 2 months? I don't recall when they started, but
I mean, if they tried, they could stretch it to lockdown. That'd be the great place to end it. Have it end up being a women's lethal lockdown.
Women's lethal lockdown. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they do, I guess. I mean, we could say that about literally every segment here. We'll see. Sadly, we will see. Rather not see. All right. Bully and Dreamer have a meeting by some red and blue lights. And Tommy Dreamer's point is, don't make me look like a fool for trusting you. And my point is, don't worry, Tommy. You've got that covered by yourself. you're coming in here with your hair up in your little ponytail and, being fat and everything. So we're not worried about you looking like a fool. Don't worry about Bully making you look like a fool. But yeah, so they're just chatting and yeah, whatever. Something about reforming the tag team, right? What do you call it? Fat and Furious? Is that what they called the team? That's not me making a joke. I think that's what he said. I think that's what Bully said. Did you catch that?
Uh, Possibly.
Yeah, it was at the very end when they're like walking off together. He said he's talking about one last ride. So I don't know. Maybe you guys know some of that. But yeah. Okay. So we got Bully and Dreamer. They're teaming up, and I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about at this point, because it's not till almost the end of the show, when right before the main event, you know how like Tom and Matthew do the whole run down the card for the upcoming shows and next week's show and stuff like that. It's not until then where apparently the Bullet Club, consisting of Ace, Bay, and Juice, make some kind of a challenge to Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer. So that's what they're referring to, but they referenced it before we even saw that. So the little order of events is confused, and I guess it doesn't matter, but still, it's like another continuity error.
Yeah, or if they had done like the thing with Tommy and Bully, or like, hey, let's get together and find some team to fight, and then you have the Bullet Club promo saying, hey, you're looking for somebody, here's us.
Yes. But they didn't.
Didn't.
Yeah, they were responding to something that we would find out in the future. So good job, Impact editor. Whoever his job is to sit in the studio and splice together all this footage that they shot, you fucked up. But
They should have got that Marvel dude.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that get fired from Marvel. We can definitely bring some people in. So, Honor No More has I'm going to call this a pink meeting, because this was the ultimate slap in the face. In terms of the turn off the lights war. This room was pink. It was the pinkest. It is so pink. Like the inside of a vagina. It's pink is what I'm trying to say. Right. It's like they were in a room, and it was like, it's one of those rooms where it's like they're having a gender reveal party. Like, it's a girl. Like we know it's a girl. Room's pink. It's pink. It's really pink. They didn't say anything this whole time. Like, I mean, they did. They were talking, but what I'm saying is they said nothing while they were talking. But even if they had said something of substance or anything different or anything that would further any stories or anything that they were doing, even if they had said that, I would have been too stunned by the pinkness to even notice it. So it's just one of those Honor No More blah 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 scenes where they all just spout exposition for several minutes and everybody gets a turn. The difference being it was the pinkest room you've ever seen in your life.
And PCO would randomly repeat one word that they said.
Yeah, there was that too. That was different every time. And then whenever somebody said Eddie, he would get visibly agitated. So, but Eddie wasn't here. He's too busy doing whatever else he's doing. Yeah, what was I saying about? And now that Tommy Dreamer's back, Eddie is now in the Alicia role. Alicia is now in the probably wasted away into nothingness role.
So does that mean Eddie's going to get skinny and Tommy's going to get super fat?
It could mean that. I'm not sure. But as we remember, Eddie has said to his wife, when he wins, this will all be over. He did not win. So he's in the doghouse. And maybe she'll leave him. And maybe she'll go somewhere with somebody that, will let her have 3 meals a day at least.
Shit, looks like she needs at least one.
I'm saying. So, yeah, that was that. Honor No More without Fat Eddie. And a pink room. Any further comments on the pink Honor No More meeting?
Now then, I felt like I was on the inside of a strawberry starburst.
Oh man, that's pretty pink right there too. Well, next is Matt Cardona versus Bhupinder Gujjar. This match makes sense because, Brian Myers, who does come out here and do a distraction by unzipping his jacket, and Gujjar's up on the rope getting ready to do the gargoyle spear, and Myers walks down, unzips that jacket. That's it. It's game over after that. He does not hit the spear, and Cardona picks up the win. So good distraction finish there.
Aaron Rodgers, second and goal. What's that? He sees a fan. He's looking out in the crowd. A fan's taking his shirt off. Oh, he gets sacked.
Right. It's like, this doesn't happen. But at least Aaron Rodgers would have the excuse of there's thousands of screaming fans. Whereas, Gujjar has the excuse of there's tens of screaming fans. I did notice that Gujjar was doing an outside in elbow drop, and he caught his foot on the rope and kind of awkwardly fell in there. I mean, he didn't, he didn't smash Matt Cardona's face or anything. He still hit his elbow drop, but it could have been worse than it really was. It could have been even worse than, say, the Tall Ace Awesome and Mickey Mouse Gloves not being able to do a dive through the ropes or even a kick through the ropes without getting tangled into it and embarrassing himself. But I guess that's the kind of thing, he fucked that up so bad that AEW brought him in because they love having people that fuck things up. There's whole accounts based around it, right? So, they made their debut on Rampage in the most boring ever, most nothing happening debut ever. The Kingdom showed up with Maria, so woohoo. As I was just cutting that promo about who the fuck pays to see these guys. Tony Khan pays to see these guys. So, shut my mouth. I stand corrected.
Hey, they're a big part of Ring of Honor.
Yep. Yeah. Or no more, right?
Hey.
But you guys said no more. And it's actually some more. So you lied. Yeah. Not cool. Not cool, guys.
Turns out Eddie and PCO are the only ones who are ride or die after all.
Yeah. Until they get called up. So.
Yep.
So, oddly enough, though, they did not bring their Impact Championships with them to Rampage. So, I don't know what the deal is, but when Matt Cardona was the NWA champion, Impact's like, no, don't show that. And then when the Kingdom shows up on Rampage, Impact's like, nope, don't bring the belts. Don't bring the belts. We only let people that are going to the WWE bring an Impact belt. We don't let you bring an Impact belt over here, even though they've done it before. Like, I'm quite sure that the Good Brothers have brought the Impact belts to AEW. So, my question is, what the fuck is really my question. What is there, if you've got champions, show the championship, especially. It must have been an AEW call, because I can't imagine Impact wanting to be like, yeah, no, don't bring our championship on a much bigger show. Which at the rate that Rampage is dwindling, it won't be a much bigger show for long, but at least they're on a cable network that I have. So I don't know. I just think that's kind of weird. Yeah, it's Kenny Omega too. Goes without saying, he was the main champion, and they wanted that. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but man, if you got any hope, you've got to get this cross promotion shit going. If somebody's a champion of something, bring them in. Even for the people that are watching AEW have no idea who these fuckers are. If they show up with a couple of belts, an AEW fan should obviously right away be like, hey, they got some kind of belts. They're somebody. Like that must be how AEW fans think. That's the only rationalization for there being so many championships there. Is that it must instantly make you a somebody. So I don't know. Even if you're AEW, I would still think that it would be good to bring those guys in. It'd be like, look, if nothing else, it's a flex. Like, hey, we got another company's champions. Just whatever. Or maybe they've already dropped these belts on the TV tapings. Maybe that's it. Maybe Heath and Rhino won the belts, and that's why they didn't bring them on Rampage. Is that it? I guess that could be it. That's what you get when you tape shows.
I can forgive all the belts if Tony introduces a participation trophy championship.
Space trophy. Everybody gets one at the end of every match. Like everyone gets one of those little trophies.
No, it's whoever's the best of who has all the little trophies.
Oh. Well, but if people are still participating though, they should all get one, right?
Right, but you're the champion of the participants.
So do you get a belt?
Yep.
Okay.
Participation trophy championship.
Okay. All right. And everybody else gets their little trophies.
Mm-hmm.
Which look probably exactly like the Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy.
Yep, just smaller.
Just even smaller. Okay. I like it. See? We are, I guess we're bookers after all. So yeah. But anyway, my point was, for guys that are doing stuff through the ropes, and we've seen this, if you're a taller guy and the reason that a lot of short guys, I'm not going to say the reason they dive through the ropes is because they're short, but if you notice, a lot of short guys dive through the ropes and they don't have to worry as much because they're short. But Gujar's pretty tall. He looks like he's about 6'3" or ish, somewhere in that range. And a 6'3" guy diving through the ropes or over the ropes, you got to be wary of your feet, right? He's trying to just do a simple, I'm on the outside of the ring, springboard over, and then not even springboard, just jump over the rope. And his foot, his toes got caught up and it kind of like caused him to land awkwardly. So you got to pick your feet up. Same thing like when you're diving through the ropes. You gotta be mindful of your feet and bend your knees and keep your feet up so that your toes don't hook on the rope, and then physics happens and you eat shit. So just a tip for all the tall guys out there. If you're gonna do shit like that, be mindful of your feet. And then we get that package I talked about with Masha Slamovich and Jordan Grace recapping their match from Bound for Glory. And then we get Mickie James with Gia and no music underneath. And then she's interrupted by Vexed because you got to have an interruption. That's on the bingo card, of course, being interrupted during an interview. And then so as Vexed and Shaw come in and they just talk shit to Mickie, and then Mickie says something back, and we get nothing out of this. There's no match made. There's no nothing. It was just no result. No result of this interruption in this promo. So.
And I think it's starting to make more sense why they had Jordan go over Masha. I think they're setting her up to be the one who ends Mickey's career, which is a shame.
Yeah. And then apparently, this is what we were talked about again earlier. We saw the Bullet Club called out Dreamer and Bully in a earlier today promo or whatever. So this is where we see the footage. This This is the first we're hearing of it, even though we didn't know that it was being referenced when they're talking about getting the tag team back together. So this is it. And then we're into our main event. That's my little shout out to Mark Henry from Rampage. Well, looks like there's been enough talk. It's time for Bobby Fish versus Josh Alexander for the Impact World Championship. On TV, right there on Access. This championship is being decided. These guys, they're going at it. I don't care. I don't care at all. I think both of these guys are very competent. I think this would not be a bad main event in any small venue in the world. Just don't care. I personally don't care. Did you care?
We knew who was winning.
We knew who was winning. Even if we didn't, would we still care? I don't know. I don't know if we would have cared. It seems like it's hard not to feel like Bobby Fish is getting passed around downward. It's like, all right, we had him at NXT. All right, just go to AEW. All right, go to Impact. Next we'll see him at what's smaller than Impact?
GCW.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know. They might draw more in their crowds, for all I know. But I'll leave that up to the chat. Chat, tell us, is GCW or Impact smaller? I really don't know. But if you're wrestling in Impact, chances are you could probably make some shots at GCW anyway, because I don't know. It's a little late in the game for Bobby Fish. I don't think he's going to achieve whatever dreams he may have set out to achieve, whatever those may have been. I'm not going to say that's right or wrong, it's just how it is. He does have a curly mustache. There's something to be said for a guy with a curly mustache in 2022. But even though I feel like he kind of knows what he's doing and he's decent, I cannot tell you of the dozens of Bobby Fish matches I watched over the years, I cannot tell you one that I remember as a standout where I would recommend it to somebody and say that you got to watch that. That's how you do it. I don't have any praise for Bobby. I don't have any real detraction for Bobby, but he's just right there in the middle for me. And Josh Alexander's getting to the point where I'm not interested in him at all either, because of the levels of competition that he's had. I would only be interested in him if I'm seeing him against somebody I really like.
Yeah, Alexander's basically become generic babyface, number prototype 6.
Yeah. And that's too bad. And that's kind of the thing where maybe it's sweeter. It's just sweeter when it's on the chase. And then when you actually reach the top, it's like, okay, now what? And I was already getting bored of him during the chase, but I mean, maybe other people felt differently. I just feel like Josh is a good performer. In my view, he's not good enough to make me care about somebody that I otherwise would not care about. Other people can do that. If you're great, you can have a match with somebody and you can make them feel like they belong there. Like, I can bring somebody up to the main event because I'm a good enough worker to know how to do that. Josh Alexander can do moves. I don't know about his psychology. It's iffy. And I really know that he's not a good enough worker to bring other people up to a main event level. He's not that. But that's your champion. So here we are. This is the deal. You got a main event of some of that's not his fault, but like when you got a Bound for Glory main event, that's your WrestleMania apparently. And the guy standing across from you is fat wearing a t-shirt. You know, just looking like a fucking indie bum. Like that's the best match you can come up with for this guy. You know? So what can I say? It's fine for a random Impact if you want to have this match, but this was a decent match for any at any level of Impact. This would have been a decent match, but I don't know what's next though. I mean, what's next? I'm not intrigued by anything that's next. I'm barely intrigued that Bully Ray is back with a title shot looming. You would think that'd be a big deal. But Bully Ray's like slumming it too. Like he went to NWA and that seemed like, you know, I don't know. It's like the guy the old guy that keeps showing up to high school football games, you know? And so this is like, it makes more sense because he's had, like he said in his promo. Yeah, I did actually listen. He said that he'd been in TNA more years of his career than any other single place. So it makes sense that he'd come back to Impact. But it's Josh Alexander, so I guess there's some intrigue there. Not a great deal. I don't know. What do you think?
If they keep playing up that intrigue and be creative enough to keep the story going of, is Bully trustworthy? Can we trust him? Can we not? And play it up long enough, it could be entertaining and interesting. But again, they got to do it and don't really have the faith in them to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, to answer my earlier question, they agree that GCW is smaller and the MLW is smaller. Yes, I keep forgetting about MLW. It's been so long since I've watched. And NWA is smaller. Which I haven't watched NWA since the what's it called? The Wrestling at the Chase pay-per-view, the St. Louis, the 75 or whatever it was, or 74. I don't even know which one it was. That was so bad it put me off NWA for a while, and I have not caught up since then, and it just keeps piling up. I'm going to need to take vacation days if I want to catch up on NWA. That's the only way it's going to work. Which is bad because my man Chris Silvio's on there, and I like some of the people they got. But man, yeah, so Bobby Fish we could see him doing some traveling. But that's it. I mean, that's our show. I mean, that's their show. I mean, you know, not much else to say. Buckshot Kid says OVW smaller. OVW don't even count. That don't even count, bro. It's not a real promotion. It don't count. It don't count. Don't count.
Let's make it count then.
No, let's not make it count. Let's not make OVW count. It don't count. But
Al
we
Snow,
count
Booker of the Year.
Booker of the Year, Al Snow. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't watch. But that's our, you know, we count on you guys to help us through these trying times of talking about Impact Wrestling. And we're big fans of you. So thank you for being with us every single week. I hope you guys are liking the new time slot. Even though it's kind of on in the middle of everything that people else are watching, I think that we probably provide a better running commentary than either Monday Night Football or Monday Night Raw or anything else that's going on. So, but in any case, we definitely appreciate you guys. And Brandon, why don't you tell the people where they can appreciate you when you're not talking about Impact Wrestling, which is thankfully all of the rest of the time.
So I'll keep the mutual appreciation going. It'd be much, much appreciated to come checking out at all the places, as well as Twitch at Miss T of the Transarchist. Just hanging out and doing shit.
I see. Any good raids lately, or?
We are going to start these, I believe, hopefully this weekend. Yeah, new expansion had just come out, so everybody had to get leveled up and geared up for it.
All right. Well, don't hope. Make it happen. Yeah, as for me, speaking of Twitch, yes, you can find me at twitch.tv/opinionhaver, where I'll be playing scary, creepy games all month long, including I just finished Little Nightmares and moved on to Resident Evil 7, so replaying that fun little playthrough. And Ghostbusters is coming out either in a matter of minutes or tomorrow, sometime later. It's a new asymmetrical multiplayer game in the vein of Dead by Daylight or Predator Hunting Grounds or one of those type of games, or even that new one, Dragon Ball Breakers, which wasn't very good. I'm sorry to say, in my short time with it, I was not impressed. But if you like those type of things in Ghostbusters, and I do, I'm going to try giving that a shot, and I'll do it in public. So be sure to follow along with that. Follow me on all the social media platforms at OpinionHaver, including Twitch, or besides Twitch, but including Twitter, where I tweeted out a picture of that Scott Demore and Josh Alexander's with that little sad pink circle on the wall. And all the social media platforms, Opinion Haver works. So check me out there. Check us out on Channel Attitude. You probably already are. If you're not watching us live and you're hearing this, you are on Channel Attitude, and thank you. And be sure to check out all the other great content, including the Next Level Wrestling Review, also featuring me, and Light the Fuse, featuring Ben Hameen and RBV, and the locker rooms have been on fire because Timmy Baltimore is here, and his give a fuck filter is completely missing. It's been damaged beyond repair, and he is just saying whatever he really thinks now. He used to be the nicest guy when I knew him, and I'm not saying he's not a nice guy, but he's going to tell you what he thinks now. So check out the locker room Monday and Friday. So much good stuff on Channel Attitude for such a low price. I don't know how much longer we can keep this price this low, guys. So sign up now, and maybe you'll get like a grandfathered in deal. I don't know. We'll work something out. Don't say I said that though, because I